OLED, QLED, LCD, LED, mini LED, micro LED. There are so many confusing types of displays. In this video, I am gonna explain you how these all types of displays work and which one is best for you according to your need and budget. Whether you need them for mobile phone, TV, or as a desktop monitor. For your convenience and better understanding, I have divided this video into three sections. In first section, I will explain all the terms related to displays like PPI, refresh rate, response time, or resolution. In second one, you will learn about all important types of displays and science behind their working. In the final and ultimate section, we will see which display will be perfect for your next smartphone, TV, or monitor according to your requirements and budget. First thing you need to know is resolution. For example, in a full HD panel with resolution 1080 into 1920, we have approx 2.1 million pixels. And in a 4K panel which has 3840 into 2160 resolution, we will have 8.3 million pixels. Here we are just multiplying the first number, that is height of the display, with the second number, that is width of the display. So higher the number of pixels mean better picture quality? Not necessarily. Because 2.1 million pixels can be enough in a 5-inch smartphone but not in a 60-inch TV. So size also matters. Here's the next related and more important concept, that is pixel density or PPI. It just simply means there are how many pixels packed in a single inch of our display. Remember, it's not a square inch. It's just an inch long one-dimensional line. So for example, we have two displays. One is from your favorite 6.9 inches iPhone 17 Pro Max and other one is a 24-inch monitor, and both have same pixel density of 300 ppi. Then both of them will provide almost same sharpness level. So yeah, pixel density can be a good parameter for determining sharpness level of your display. For a mid-range smartphone, it should be somewhere around 300 to 400. But for your next premium flagship device, it should be more than 450. For wall-mounted TVs, 60 to 80 ppi is more than enough. But for a monitor, it should be somewhere around 90 to 150 due to closer viewing distances. For bigger screen sizes, you can also choose a little bit higher number, but that's gonna cost you a little bit more extra money. So the third thing is refresh rate, that actually defines the smoothness of your display. Whether that gonna feel jittery or buttery smooth. It's usually measured in hertz. A 60 hertz display means it can recreate an image 60 times in a second. A display with higher refresh rates like 120 Hz will feel smoother, but other one with 60 Hz can feel jittery. For a smartphone, it should be 120 Hz for a smoother experience, but for monitors and TVs, this much higher refresh rate should be just for gamers and those who watch sports. Otherwise, it's just gonna cost you extra money. Our fourth concept is especially for monitors, and that is response time. If your display has 10 milliseconds of response time, then that means your display will respond after 10 milliseconds to your click. For gamers, it should be necessarily below 2 milliseconds. But for other type of stuff, 5 to 10 milliseconds will be fine. And the last important concept is color contrast, which means difference between black and white. If a display has contrast ratio 1000 by 1, then it means that display can produce whites 1000 times brighter than the blacks. In this section, I will explain all important types of displays like LCD, LED, QD-LED, Mini LED or OLED. So LCD displays are made from multiple layers, and this first layer is backlight, which is made up of fluorescent tubes which produces white light. In front of that, there is a layer of color filters. On this layer, each pixel has three filters, red, green and blue, which manipulates the incoming light from the previous layer to produce a particular color. And those colors on each pixels collectively create an image. So this is an actual picture of color filters that I took with my mobile phone's macro lens from my LCD monitor. So here when we zoom in this picture, here you can see all the individual color filters for every pixel. Here this red, green and blue. And here are a lot of these combinations, red, green, blue, red, green, blue. LCD displays has three different types which has their own pros and cons. So first one is TN panel, which has highest refresh rate, fastest response time, and it's also cheapest. With these three advantages, it also has some prominent disadvantages. Its number one drawback is poor viewing angle, which means if you will see this display from a side angle, then colors will be blown out. At second place, it has worst color accuracy and it comes with lowest contrast ratio among all of these three. Second one is the IPS panel, which is a little bit expensive but with its own pros. It has best color accuracy, wide viewing angles, and good overall balance. But it is more expensive and it has slightly lower response time. So now let's talk about man in the middle, and that is VA panel. It has highest contrast ratio, moderate color accuracy, which is better than TN panel but lower than IPS panel. Viewing angles higher than TN panel but lower than IPS panel. And it has lowest response time. So now you have understood basics of LCD displays. Now let's talk about LED panels. Actually, LED panel is just another type of LCD panel but with a slight change in backlight. As you know, there is a backlight layer made up of fluorescent tubes in LCD panels. So in LED panels, those fluorescent tubes are just replaced with LED lights. That's why LED panel is just a better version of LCD panel with LED backlights. So this is an actual LED backlight that I took from my old LED TV, and my 40-inch LED TV has three of these sticks. Here you can see three of these sticks, and these all the small LED lights are connected in series on a single stick, and these three sticks are also connected in series in an LED TV. But what we got from this replacement? So there are actually multiple advantages. Number one, superior picture quality like higher contrast ratio and more color accuracy. Number two, higher brightness. Number three, more energy efficiency, longer lifespan, and significantly thinner profile, which means LED panels are much thinner than LCD one. Nowadays, LED panels are generally used in entry-level smartphones, TVs, laptops, and monitors. So here's one more important thing. Just a while ago, I told you about the types of LCD displays. So as we know, the LED are actually types of LCD displays but with a different backlight. So LED displays has also those same types like IPS, TN and VA panels. So if you have option to choose any of these types, then you must choose LED instead of LCDs. LED displays are actually a little bit expensive, but these are much superior in picture quality and all of those things. So this was all about modern day LCDs and LED panels. Now let's understand LED's biggest competitor, OLED or organic light emitting diode. So instead of using single backlight for all pixels like LCD or LEDs, OLED uses another mechanism where each pixel can produce its own light and can be turned off and on individually. But how exactly it works? So let's zoom into a single OLED pixel. Here on the backside of color filters, this layer is made up of organic material that contains carbon bonds. So when electricity is passed through this material, it produces light, which then is used to make different colors with the help of color filters. In this way, we get a lot of advantages over LED displays. Now we can achieve perfectly black color because pixels can turn off at that particular point where we have to show black color. This is actually impossible for LCD or LED panels because there's always a backlight that can't be turned off for a small number of pixels. Most of LCD displays have contrast ratio 2000 by 1, but in OLED we have contrast ratios like 100,000 by 1. Except greater color contrast, we also have some other advantages like more vibrant colors, better color accuracy, wider viewing angles, and lower power consumption. But it has slightly lower brightness than LEDs, and its pixels can also burn in like old CRT monitors. Pixel burn-in mean if a single picture is shown for a long time on an OLED display, it can print out permanently on that screen. We have this Windows taskbar which can burn in on an OLED display. I know you like OLED, but this burn-in issue is bothering you. But here's the good news for you. So actually in 2026, this burn-in risk in OLED displays is negligible. With the passage of time, all the brands that produce OLED had overcome this issue. So now that issue will be negligible, and if you will see burn-in issue, and that will be just after about 3000 to 4000 hours screen time, and still that will be negligible. But LCDs and LEDs never burn in. It just happened to OLED and old CRT monitors. But instead of OLEDs, you have probably listened more times about AMOLEDs, which actually a type of OLED but with response time nearly 0 millisecond. AMOLED means active matrix organic light emitting diode. But what the hell is active matrix? In normal OLED, all the pixels are sequentially controlled from a central unit, and that is known as passive matrix. But in active matrix, every pixel has its own transistor, which makes response time nearly 0 millisecond, which also significantly increases quality in gaming and sports. Second type of OLEDs is QD OLED, which is also very important. It also uses active matrix, but instead of using three different light filters like red, green, and blue, it just produces blue light, which is then converted into red or green according to the requirement. This color conversion is actually done by quantum dots. These quantum dots are actually semiconductor nanocrystals, with the help of which we can change color of blue light by just controlling electricity passing through them. But at this point of time, these QD OLED displays are just used in luxury TVs and high-end monitors due to their higher manufacturing cost. But there's another type of LED panels which is taking over market with their higher growth rates, and that is mini LED. Mini LED has very small microscopic backlights instead of having some huge LED backlights. This significantly improves contrast ratio, color accuracy, and response time. OLED displays are still better than mini LEDs because they have infinite contrast ratio and nearly zero response time. Mini LED can provide much closer result but relatively in lower price range. Nowadays, Apple is using this type of technology in their Pro models of iPads and MacBooks. Companies like LG, Samsung, and TCL are also producing TVs and monitors with this technology. There's also one more type of LED displays which is quantum dot LED. It is same as QD OLED but with LED backlight. It can give more vibrant colors and faster response time than other LEDs but not as much good contrast like mini LED or OLED. It is mostly used in mid-range TVs and monitors. So now you have mastered all important type of displays and all the related terminologies. Now it's time to pick a perfect one for you. First of all, let's talk about smartphones. If you are purchasing a mid-range smartphone over 250 bucks, then an AMOLED display with 300 to 400 ppi is mandatory. But if that's a premium flagship device, then you can check out for an AMOLED display over 450 ppi. And avoid those marketing gimmicks like curve and quad curve displays. Because trust me, those all are rubbish. I also have one of them and that's useless. And on the flip side, it's also more expensive. In smartphones for buttery smooth performance, 120Hz refresh rate is mandatory. But if you are a gamer, then 144 will be a good option. So choosing a display for a smartphone is so easy, but it can be complicated when it comes to a professional machine like laptop or a monitor. So if you are purchasing a laptop for some kind of professional work like content creation, video and photo editing, or any kind of color related work, then always choose OLED or mini LED panel with 95% to 100% DCI P3 coverage. Here this DCI P3 just measures color accuracy. Higher the percentage means more accurate color. OLED can give you more vibrant colors and perfect blacks, but it has slightly lower brightness and its pixels can burn in. On the other hand, mini LED has more brightness but with slightly lower contrast and color vibrancy. But if you are a budget gamer, then always choose an IPS panel with 144Hz or more refresh rate. And if you are not budget conscious, then you can go for an OLED panel with 144 or more refresh rate. But for a student and an office guy, 60 to 90Hz IPS panel will be enough. Similarly, display type of monitors purely depends on your work requirement rather than any aesthetics. For example, if you are a budget gamer, then always go for a high refresh rate TN LED panel because they are cheap and can provide high refresh rate with faster response times. But if budget isn't an issue for you, then you can choose high refresh rate QD OLED panel. For professional work, a mini LED will be perfect and risk-free option, but OLED will provide you vibrant colors but with burn-in risk. For example, if you are using just Photoshop for hours, then there's a high chance of burn-in risk in this taskbar. But keep in mind, professional displays must have more than 95% of DCI P3 color accuracy value. But if you are a student or a normal office person, then a good IPS LED panel will be enough for you. So last thing in our list is TV. And QD OLED TV will be perfect for a relatively dark room, but for brighter environments, mini LED will be your good to go. But there's an issue. Both of these TV types are so expensive that a normal person can't afford. So a good IPS panel with high refresh rate and vibrant colors will be enough for consuming normal day content. See, there's one thing that you have to remember. For example, you have purchased $1,000 144Hz gaming monitor but you are using a 10-year-old graphic card that can't even produce 60 frames in a second, then that 144Hz gaming monitor will be useless. So a display should be aligned with all other hardware components in your PC or mobile phone. So this was actually my first video on this channel, and at this point of time I am feeling a bit nervous. And I actually want your feedback for producing much better content. So if you have any other video topic that you want me to make video on that, then just let me know in the comment section. And I also want your honest feedback for improving my content, like which thing you liked about this video and which I can improve in my next videos. So see you in next video and goodbye.